Yo, what's up, man? Welcome, podcast, man. We had a late start tonight. Had some technical difficulties, thanks Facebook. But we made it through. So, some new stuff on the horizon, you know what I'm saying? Selection season. So we're gonna try to make sure we're getting our message out there, it's gonna be on the YouTube page, but then we'll share it in the actual Facebook page in the group, tonight, man. So just want to say what's up, folks that's going to watch this, you know what I mean? Appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying? Tuning in, man. What's up, bro?
Man, nothing much, man. Just like to thank the people for sticking with us and for I'm saying podcast, man. Just like it's just been a journey for over the years and we just try to give good content, man. And like it's not con- content just to have content. Like we really just want people to be informed and making
Mm,
choices off of actually having real information and not being clouded by, you know,
mm.
uh
Distractions, man.
yeah, a whole bunch of distractions, man.
Hmm. Yeah, 'cause that's what something we talked about last week, man. Like, a culture of distraction. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the times that we're living in. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, like, part of one what was that podcast group thing, man. And most people sharing their podcast, and they're like the same content, right? It's
Yeah,
relationship. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like, hey, you in a relationship, and this person doing this, and this person doing that. What y'all think? It's like,
yeah, yeah,
bro, can
yeah.
y'all do something else, man? Can y'all talk about something else, man? You know what I'm saying? But I think, people need to understand how important this election is in 2024. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Um and what people are willingly going to be given up. You know what I'm saying? Um uh simply because we live in this culture of distraction. You know what I'm saying? Politics have become entertainment. Keep repeating it over and over again. Politics is life or death, man.
yeah,
Politics is life or death. You know what I'm saying? That earlier this year, I know Americans got short-term memory, but earlier this year that one woman had to go to another state in order to not lose her life because the child that was being born in her was died, passed away,
mhm,
and it had to be removed. But because of the laws in Texas, she couldn't get it removed. You know what I'm saying? To save her life. You know what I mean? So that she can try again to have a child. So politics is life or death, man. Um, you know, yeah, man. But and I know we're gonna get into the Byron Donalds thing, and that's the
mhm,
other thing I wanted to bring up. You know, there's this thing that people are doing. You know what I'm saying? And they
mhm,
are doing this thing to where they're connecting black people. Like that, like they tell you they be, in a way they tell you how they think about black people or what they think about
mhm,
black people, right?
mhm.
Because they're like, first it was Donald Trump and the sneakers,
Yeah,
right? And then now it's Donald Trump being a felon. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah,
they think of black people as low. You know what I mean? Whether it was
yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, coming out saying it.
Mhm,
I seen something where Joe Rogan was saying it. They always asking on some faux news, some conservative radio or TV, oh, you think black people gonna identify with Trump now because
yeah,
he got a felony? Like,
yeah,
yo,
yeah.
like,
When you got a person as smart and bright as Stephen A. repeating something like that,
hmm,
this is where you start having problems, man.
yeah,
Because he is too smart to 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 parrot that same line and not understanding how that how that resonates or affects the way we are viewed in society.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, man. And again, folks like a Stephen A. or other black people who are parroting that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Again, these are black folks who don't necessarily talk to regular, everyday, working class black people
Mhm.
on a regular. You know what I mean? They just repeat and regurgitate some stuff they hear in the barbershop. 'Cause Stephen A. probably still goes to a barbershop. The
Mhm.
sunroof is going back. You know what I'm saying? He probably just repeats and regurgitates some stuff he hears in the barbershop, you know what I'm saying? Um, and and it reinforces, how the dominant society sees, black people. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? Because at the
mhm.
end of the day, they're not talking to regular everyday people. I get tired of seeing people asking Charlemagne the God politic questions, and he doesn't know anything. He
Yeah,
does not know anything. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to politics, he is very, very ignorant. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
he reminds me of a person that's, like, trying to fit in he's trying to fit in into this little smart, circle that he
Mhm,
has, you know what I mean, with, Angela Rye and Nina Turner
mhm.
and others, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't have he
Intellect.
doesn't wanna learn,
Yeah.
number 1. He don't wanna learn,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying?
I
Uh,
I would say he just don't have the intellect.
that yeah.
It you know, yeah, my biggest problem is, like, I think the kindness like, trying to describe some of these people,
Mhm,
um, is starting to do us a disservice
mhm,
because it takes away the honesty of what's really happening.
mhm,
That's why they can throw an ice cube in our face and, like, he's talking about freaking politics, and, like, you asked him about policy, and he has no clue, where he assumes that both of them are the same,
right,
and
right,
it's just like, no, politics is not the same as policy.
mhm,
That's why Donald Trump can get up there and and he's talking like a politician,
mhm,
which means he's just being a populist,
mhm,
but he doesn't have the policies that go along with it. Because that you have to form a freaking policy. You have to form it.
yeah,
You have to put it in legislative words. And it
yeah,
literally goes through a committee to literally see how can this affect X group, X group, X group, X group. This is literally the process in America. So when a bill passed, they already know the groups that are literally going to be affected.
yep. That's what happened with the voting with a lot of the voting laws that changed. Over 200 voting laws changed. You have and the Republican Party, they have something that the Democrat Party don't have, and they have uh, uh, I won't say Democrats don't have, but Democrats don't weaponize it in the way that Republicans do. Republicans will weaponize the Heritage Foundation,
Mhm,
the Koch brothers. They'll what's there's a religious organization too, but they'll weaponize these things, meaning that they will form like think tanks. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
American Alliance PAC. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they'll form like these think tanks, and then like they'll say they'll go out and study people that live in Georgia, for instance. This
Mhm,
is what they did. They went out and studied how black people vote voted, right?
mhm,
And they saw that in certain areas of Georgia, black people did what was called like ballot harvesting. So if they had older black people, and they also did this on indigenous peoples reservations. So they would go and collect older people who could not drive or did not have access to transportation, collect those ballots, and then take them and put them in the ballot box for them. It was totally legal. Well, you make it illegal now. So now
mhm,
you just take out a whole population of people who can't vote now. You just disenfranchise those folks.
mhm,
Black people who do souls to the polls, right? They're like,
mhm,
"Oh, black people like to vote on Sundays, huh? They like to do the souls to the polls, okay."
mhm,
Well, when they do souls to the polls, well, guess what they can't do now? Now they can't, during souls to the polls, they hand out water and, so they shorten the time frame,
mhm.
you know what I mean, in which they could go vote. And a bunch of whole nefarious things, man. But all of it is under under the ism of fascism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is making sure that the minority group of people and the minority idea of people of a certain group, maintains power. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And this is where I think that a lot of people, or I won't say a lot of people, some people, I think that some people on the left who don't understand this, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and are willing to sabotage, any progress. You know what I'm saying? Um, uh,
Yeah,
uh,
because they haven't learned from Dukakis, haven't learned from, Jill Stein.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the same case.
yeah,
It was literally the same case.
I saw somewhere
You
where Jill Stein talking about running for president again. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
y'all ain't learned.
yeah, and
You like,
you know what I'm saying? You got, uh what's that, what's his name? Kennedy?
oh, Robert F. Kennedy. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you people haven't learned the lesson that you were just spelling out. It's just like, look, what's going to happen is Robert F. Kennedy is going to run a populist message,
Hmm.
but he understands that it's no way for him to pass any of the things that he is talking about,
Hmm.
because
Right.
guess what? He needs a party. Well,
Yes.
he's not a Republican, so he doesn't have their vote. Let's see. He's a Democrat. Well, in most cases, he usually votes with the Democrats, but he doesn't really present many bills.
Hmm.
People have to understand these little things and understand, like, man, this dude is up here just blowing hot air.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That is all he doing, man. Um, yeah, that's all he's doing, man. But he's gonna take some of the Republican votes. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, and maybe some of those crazy Jimmy Dore types or something like that. Uh,
Those are the ones that are attracted to him. They're more libertarian.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
he's attracting more libertarian group. As I don't know if you heard the the conference, the libertarian conference that they were pretty much chanting JFK,
Mhm, mhm,
and like, this is who he's going to pull. But again, we talked about this before. Trump is fighting to keep Robert F. Kennedy off the. But again, when the media can go and just sit back and say, "But Joe, you have
mhm.
so many people, black voters, Spanish voters, who don't have access to news that caters directly to them,
Mhm.
and they get to hear a lot of these mainstream news that's passed down, and they get to hear that kind of message."
Yeah,
And like, that is what's so dangerous and insidious to this whole thing.
yeah, yeah. It is yeah, it is. Like with the Robert F. Kennedy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, on the left, Cornel West, he's not getting any traction. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's no traction. We'll see what he does. You know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, man, I just find it all um I won't say fascinating, but as I keep saying, we're living in history right now. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And a like you said, yeah, like you said, like a lot of with these presidential candidates, yeah, Robert F. Kennedy or any other third party, you know what I mean? They're not going to get anything done because they don't have the third. you don't have a third party majority, excuse me, in the Senate or the House. They're either Democrats or they're Republicans.
Yep.
That's it. Like, yeah, Robert F. Kennedy being a libertarian, maybe he'll get some Republicans working with him on some things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If a Joe Manchin was, still going to, run in the Senate,
Mhm.
maybe he would get a Joe Manchin. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it it'd be all for naught, really. You just you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, wasting a vote on RFK is kind of it defeats the point, or a Jill Stein, or a Cornell
Mhm.
West. Yeah,
Mhm.
or Cornell West or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's the this is the election that was very similar to the Reagan era, like,
Mhm,
right before he ran.
mhm,
It was the moment that, quote, unquote, "the minorities" have to be very, very, astute to what's really going on, and they have to be educated in the politics that's happening and how to maneuver within that.
mhm.
You know, it is literally the same thing, which again, most black people didn't show up because we still had we were coming out of in late 70s and early 80s. Like, but at the end of the day, it's about being strategic right now. It's about understanding the policies. It's about understanding what policies were passed. Um, I was talking to one gentleman, just through TikTok, and he had the right message where he was just talking about, like, all of these, once Donald Trump got convicted of 34 felonies, you know, then you start seeing all of these people talking about the violence that they were going to start committing on other Americans. Um, and and black people, rightfully so, was like, yo, like, all right, stop telling us. Stop telling us, do whatever you're gonna do. But then he started going into talking about Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and start trying to both sides the conversation. And at that moment, what I interjected to him was, this is not a both sides. All you have to do is go Google the bills that was passed under Trump, and then the bills that was passed under Joe Biden, whether it's an executive order or an actual bill. You could just go Google this, and you can compare them, and you can clearly see the difference. And immediately, because he don't want to learn anything that he already thinks that he knows, his response was like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, of
Yeah,
course. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? You know, that's always the response, you know what I mean? You don't know what you're talking about because, again, only my dear leader knows what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he can never be right, I mean, he can never be wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I was watching this thing about fascism, and I always say, you know what I'm saying, the Republican Party is a neo-fascist party. Um and it was talking about fascism, and how, you know um when the fascist leader, like a Mussolini or a Hitler, convinced these people that they need to be followed, you know what I'm saying, or they convinced themselves, I'm sorry, they convinced themselves that they have to follow a Hitler or a Mussolini or
Mhm.
whoever they choose as their dear leader, then that dear leader can never be wrong, right? So currently, when they look at a Trump, right? The system is against Trump. It's not that
Mhm.
Trump committed any actual crimes,
Right,
right? Which he did. You know what I
right,
mean? It's
right.
not that the judicial system went through the process of going through a grand jury, getting it, and then the grand jury of 12 people looked at the evidence that was brought forth. You know what I'm saying? And before you get to a grand jury, it's not like, the attorney general and the lawyers there didn't do any evidence gathering, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And then go to a grant, and then bring up the charges, and then present it to a grand jury, and then the grand jury agrees that, hey, yes, this person needs to be indicted because they
Mhm.
violated the law.
Yeah.
And then
There was due diligence.
right, right, but
There
you
wa
know,
like, and this is what's so sickening in this moment, bro, like, man, I'm talking about these are people that you would if you speak to them, you would consider them to be, "Oh, man, okay. You got a little smarts to you." Like, and I'm like, "Bro, how can you not even know how the system actually works?" Like, you're getting to a place saying Donald Trump, like, because he was charged, like, now the system don't work when everybody else has been telling you prior to that the system didn't work, but it just didn't work when he got locked up.
yeah, right, right.
And it's like, man, I bro,
That's because to them, they want the system to work against other people. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? The system can't work against somebody that's supposed to represent me and represent my how I think. And even though I'm never going to be a millionaire, you know what I'm saying? Somebody has to be or put me in power. You know what I'm saying? And place me in power so that I can feel valued. You know what I'm saying? So I can feel like empowered, right? So I could be
Mhm,
represented. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? And so, when it comes to like fascism, these folks, yeah, they look if their leader get prosecuted, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Oh, the system don't work now. And this is
yeah,
why you see Joe Rogan and Stephen A. Smith and all these other black folk, who are trying to be like, oh yeah, black people are gonna, agree
mm,
with him now because Trump got a felony or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's like, no, no, no. We've been
no,
telling you the system that we live in a two-tier justice system
yeah,
for a long time, and it ain't because we have power or money. It's because the system gets used against us. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Three strikes laws get created when we
mhm,
did not create the crack. We did not bring crack to our own neighborhoods. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? We did not bring guns to our own neighborhoods and stuff like that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Felons, getting out of jail. Like, and again, people who are making this thing like, oh, Trump's a felon, so he relate to black folk. No, because just like those the exonerated five who had a
mhm,
felony charge, they couldn't get jobs, they couldn't
mhm,
get government assistance, you know what I mean, in certain states. Their life was harder because they had a felony charge. You
mhm,
dig what I'm saying?
mhm,
Donald Trump's life's not hard. He has
right,
money, he has position, he has power, and he's running for president of these United States.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no comparison.
yeah, yeah, uh, those 5 gentlemen couldn't call up Congress to tell them to stop a border bill. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have that power. That this man had the power and the means to like to think that he can get away with it. And then on top of all of this, you have people in the Republican Party, literally Turning Point USA, CPAC, literally went and had their conference in front of a fascist group
Yeah. I mean
talking
that's
about women should
mm,
not vote,
mm.
that the man should go vote on behalf of the woman.
Oh
Like
my
this
god.
is the ridiculousness that's happening.
Yeah. That's coming from like the 1980s, you know what I'm saying? When I can't remember, there was a like a pastor. He's at
Yeah.
he's at a conference or something, Republican conference, and he says, um, uh, America has a Goo syndrome, good government. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, everybody should not have the right to vote. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's like, everybody shouldn't have the right to vote, and they've been
Well,
on this path
they're
of trying to take away people's right to vote, right?
this
Stripping
is
out.
what this is what's next.
That's
This
that,
is
that
one
yeah,
of the
that's
things
that's
that's next.
that's what's next is
Yeah,
stripping out the right to vote. And this is where, the fascism comes in, right?
yeah.
But but again, they won't paint it as, it won't be seen as fascism because again, we live in a culture of distraction. So people will just be like, shrug their shoulders and be like, oh, be fed the myth. As long as you work hard, you'll make it. You know what I mean?
It
And then
it also won't be seen as fascism because Thomas is over. I think it's the fifth sixth, Fifth Circuit.
oh no, he's Supreme Court.
But yeah, he's Supreme Court. But because I mean, did I say circuit? I mean district. So
Yeah, no,
so
he's not over a district. He's Supreme Court.
no, no. This is how the Supreme Court works, right? All of those justices are over a district.
Hmm.
So South Carolina, the voter rights issue that just went to the Supreme Court that
Hmm.
just took away voter rights for Black people in South Carolina.
Hmm.
That was passed down to Clarence Thomas. He was the the overseeing person over that kind of rule. It's interesting. I don't know all the information,
Hmm.
right? But this is why it won't be considered fascism because they're using black faces
Oh, okay. Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
this done.
Yeah, I mean to interrupt you, but yeah, you're right. They oversee a circuit. So
Yes.
Sanji Brown has Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire,
Mhm,
Puerto Rico, Rhode Island.
mhm,
Uh, Sonia Sotomayor has Connecticut, New York, Vermont.
mhm.
Samuel Alito has Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia islands. John Roberts has Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia. The Fifth Circuit, Samuel
Yeah.
Alito has Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas. Sixth Circuit is Kavanaugh. He has Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee. Seventh Circuit, Amy Coney Barrett. She has Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. Eighth Circuit, Brett Kavanaugh has Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota. Ninth Circuit, Elena Keegan has
Mhm,
Alaska, Arizona, California, Guam, Hawaii, Idaho. Yeah, the West Side. Uh, 10th Circuit, Gorsuch,
mhm.
Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Utah, Wyoming. Clarence Thomas has Alabama, Florida, and Georgia.
And
And for the federal circuit is John Roberts.
yeah,
He oversees all of them. Who is South
so
Carolina?
yeah.
John Roberts. You.
Is it John Roberts? Okay, it's John Roberts.
Mm,
But again, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah. They all the same. Him and
yeah,
Clarence Thomas, same bird.
yeah, same bird. Because what happened was even though John Roberts was overseeing that circuit,
Hmm.
Clarence Thomas stepped in and gave his opinion on on
Yeah.
the circuit that John Roberts was in, just
Yeah.
giving them cover.
Giving them cover. Yeah. Giving them cover. Like, hey, won't you say it? Because if you say it, it won't sound
Yes,
racist. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? And again, this is where we get to Byron Donalds or Tim Scott or any other black conservative, where they are giving the Republican Party cover, right? Because Byron Donald is telling ahistorical history on Jim Crow and about black families, um, which again they're telling this ahistorical history in order to set up to take away voting rights. You know what I'm saying? Or to take away other rights. Recently, you just had I can't remember the what's it called, the Freedom Fund. Basically, it was a fund set up for women, black women, entrepreneurs to help other black women. It was a Republican uh, operative, a Republican group, that said that this firm was being racist because they weren't helping any other racial group. You know what I'm saying? So the Supreme Court said, of course, all of the Republican justices said that, yes, these individuals are being racist against other groups because they're only helping black people. So you're saying that black people can't even help other black people, but at the same time, you're telling us about bootstraps. Oh, yeah, we have some technical
Okay,
difficulties.
I'm
All
getting
right,
there.
yeah. All right.
But 98% went to white people for the venture capitalists.
Mm,
This right here, when they're using reverse racism,
mm,
because we don't have the mechanism to put out a counter law, because that's what should happen.
mhm. Oh, no, no, no. You good, bro. So it's on my end. You good.
So, so the issue is we have to start fighting with the same mechanisms that they're fighting with.
Hmm.
Like the gloves have to be off at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I say, like, what I'm saying, like, again, man, I had a conversation because, working over at the school, what's not. And I said, I had a conversation with a guy that was helping us. And he was like, yeah, man, no, we need to, get trade schools, trade schools, trade schools. I was like, no, we need more lawyers.
Yeah.
We need more lawyers because the system is being used against us.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like this message of pushing black people to trade schools is taking us out of political power because you don't have people who are going to be in the positions of power to make these, you know, changes or do what Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller did, right? Stephen Miller,
Mhm.
he was the one that orchestrated going after the black farmers, right? When the black farmers got 5 billion from the Biden administration, right? Stephen Miller, a white nationalist,
Mhm.
right? Goes after
Who
says
has a law degree?
what's that? Oh
Who
yeah,
has
yeah,
a
he has
law
a
degree?
he has a law degree, right? He
Yeah.
has a law degree. So does DeSantis. So does Cruz. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They learned during the they learned that so the Democrats, when Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all these Democrats were having law degrees. Obama, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, we need some conservative lawyers too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That can bend the law. You know what I'm saying? So you can claim reverse racism. They use that. The court the court used an 1868
Mhm.
Civil Rights Act that was meant for black people so that the white supremacist society can stop them suppressing black economics and use that against black people in 2024
Yep.
to say that white people need to be the beneficiary of everything, right? You all black people barely get like 2% of venture capital,
Yep.
of the venture capital money of capital. And people again, I say we're in this culture of distraction because we don't talk when a lot of these conversations are happening. We're having relationship conversation and we need to be having power conversation. You know what I mean? Talking about
Yeah.
capitalism and fascism and all these other things. You know what I mean? And we just don't talk about it.
Yeah, man. Um. mm, 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 mm. Look, if black, so so what's showing up in the polls are when black voters, Latino voters are produce evidence or information of something, their vote is like how they feel about the politics change. And the issue is we just have so many low information voters. Our lady, please. Um, yeah, we just have too many low information voters, and people have to start paying attention to what's going on because politics is very do us and if we don't get this right in this election, the next 20 years will be hell.
Yeah.
Like in all seriousness, man, the next 20 years is gonna be hell for black people.
Mhm. No, it is, man. It is. And again, it reminds me of what something that Kimberly Crenshaw said, man. Kimberly
Mhm.
Crenshaw said every time that there's is a black progress, you know what I mean? The backlash lasts way longer than the
Yeah,
black progress. So Obama was that black progress. And now look at the backlash that's happening, right?
yeah,
You had the overturn of affirmative action in colleges. You know what I'm saying? You have voter suppression laws that came out. You know what I'm saying? All that. I mean, they're in Kansas. Kansas just voted. You don't have a right to vote in the
yeah,
state. Yep, that was a judge that said that you don't have a right to vote in that state. You know what I mean? They're going after 1968 Civil Rights Act to dismantle that, you know what I
mhm,
mean, on a federal level. So then states have a right to discriminate against you again. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Take away your power. They already gerrymandered states. Um, you know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, they're trying to revert take us back. When
yeah,
when Trump said make America great again. Yeah, they said again is disenfranchising people, you know what I mean,
yeah,
economically, socially, politically and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? And so they need an individual like a Byron Donalds to
mhm,
then create a nostalgia, right?
mhm,
Based on some mythical past of black people being having it good during Jim Crow. Like this is
right,
they always rehash this thing every 4 years, man. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like since Obama, man, whoa, black people had it good during Jim Crow. We were
right,
together. We had marriages. You had to insulate. Black people had to insulate from the white supremacist society, but again, that's not the context. You know what
yeah, yeah,
I mean?
because he left out. That's why they created the Black Panther Party.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because of Jim Crow.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. eh, Yeah. I mean, that's why SNCC was created. You had
Mhm,
the student national I can't remember what the acronym, but this you had SNCC, which was a left leaning group.
mhm,
You had the Young Negro Congress, which was a left leaning communist group. You had Negro Congress, which was a communist group, all political. Um, and out of that came the Black Panthers, which was a left-leaning communist, Marxist. They were more Marxist than
yeah,
communist group. And again, Byron Donald, and this is why I think I said this last week, was like, I'm so tired of people regurgitating this thing about black people being conservative because Byron Donalds used that against, black people. Oh, black people were voting black people were voting conservative during Jim Crow because they were conservatively or something, he said. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Something like that. He said,
yeah.
black people couldn't vote, man.
So somebody was they said the same line,
Hmm.
but they ended saying black people were so conservative that they didn't even vote.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like, and like, that's how cartoonish Bar- Byron Donalds sound
Mhm. Mhm.
because yeah, we was conservative. We like black people was trying to conserve their lives because they didn't want to be hung. So they stopped showing up to the polls, even though they were supposed to have been able to legally be able to vote. That's why historically black voter numbers are low because of the fear.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, during that time, I'm sorry. During that time, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like black people, you did have black people that voted. It was
Yeah.
only like a couple thousand in the South.
Mhm.
And as black people migrated up north, black people began, some of them voted. But the North was no different than the South. The North discriminated against black people voting too. Discriminated black people against jobs, you know what I mean, the
Mhm.
summer of 1919. And again, he says this thing about, oh, black, the marriages were stronger, we were together. Sir, black men couldn't even protect their families.
Yeah.
Black men couldn't even protect their families because they get rushed by a white supremacist mob or some these Europeans, the Europeans that would come, and live in these areas close to black, or they were forced to live in these areas close to black people. See the Irish folks in Seneca Village, that's now Central Park. You know what I'm saying? Live next to these black folk, and then they become, the white supremacists,
Mhm.
later. You know what I'm saying? But you had the summer of 1919. This is when Tulsa gets burned down. This is when there's riots. This is when, you know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
you got this nostalgia about black families and stuff, but black families were terrorized.
Yeah.
That was a terrible time to live, man.
Yeah.
A terrible time to live. You weren't, you know what I'm saying? This idea that black people were conservative. No, black people weren't conservative. Black people were surviving. They were
Yeah.
pragmatic. There
Yeah.
was nothing conservative mean to conserve. They weren't trying to conserve anything because they didn't want to get caught or be killed.
Bro, what the hell did they have to conserve?
That's what I'm
They
saying.
didn't have healthcare. They ain't have no money.
Yeah.
Like and for Brian Dodge to sit there and say that, like you're pointing out, bro, we were never conservative ever,
Never.
and
Never.
never at not one point in history because we were left out of the economy. So we always needed. We needed healthcare. We needed jobs. We needed to, a good pay. We needed housing. You please tell me any bill that the Republicans supported to sit back and help that since the 1960.
That's what I'm saying. They like again, people act like this Republicans were helpless to do something for black people. You know what I mean? Well, like they were help like they could have done something. You know what they did? It was Richard Nixon and the
Yeah,
war on drugs. It
yeah,
was Ronald Reagan. And again, Byron Donald pushed that lie the other day with Joy Reid. You know what I mean? They brought a 1994 crime bill because again, this is a popular
yeah.
uh, barbershop talking point, right?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it wasn't the 1994 crime bill, and I, repeated this before, but it wasn't the 1994 crime bill that increased incarceration of African Americans into prisons. It was the 1986 Reagan bill
Right. Yeah.
that did it. You know what I mean? The 94 crime bill was bad because it allowed states to create state prisons and funded straight
Hmm.
state prisons, you know what I mean, and create
Hmm.
for-profit prisons.
Yeah.
That was the problem. And the majority of African Americans went where? To state.
Yeah.
They went to state prisons. And that's because that's what the Republicans want. And the Republicans didn't support the 1994 crime bill because they wanted it to be tougher. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they wanted to be tougher, more, attacking
Yeah.
African
Because
Americans.
people don't realize in between like Nixon and what I'm saying, Bush, before you get to Clinton, they we already had close to 400,000 people that were incarcerated between those administrations, and most of them were black people. And then when Clinton came in, when you had the crime bill, then it was another jump.
Mhm.
It was already happening.
Yeah, it was already happening under Reagan, and under a time where they were telling the Reagan administration, "Hey, you could probably get rid of some of these federal prisons." They were telling the Nixon and the Reagan administration, like, "Hey, yeah, we probably don't need these federal prisons." They were like, "Oh no, we need them because I don't like black people and I don't like these hippies." You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? That was Nixon. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And then Ronald Reagan was like, "Oh, we really gonna have a war on drugs." Now, war
yeah.
on drugs meant meant terrorizing, and the Reagan administration knew that that cocaine was being sent to these
Mhm,
African American neighborhoods and being sold in the neighborhoods, and the money from there was being taken and given to the Contras. But instead of going after the Italians, going after the mobs, you know,
mhm.
they later, I mean, they went after small time drug dealers and users. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
later they go after the Italian mob, but it's like too late. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like too late,
N
man.
Not only that, then Reagan start closing down the mental hospitals.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. People wonder why today, why we have a homelessness problem. That's
Yeah,
because of Ronald Reagan.
yeah,
You wonder why we have a youth problem. That's because Ronald Reagan closed down, took away the funding for boys and girls clubs
yeah.
and other clubs. You know what I'm saying? Um,
And
uh, uh,
Republicans wanna do it again.
yeah. No, they won't do
Wanna
it again.
do it again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and of course,
Eh,
once you take something away, Republicans have learn this. Once you take it away, it's hard to get it back.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to get it back because of what we have right now, which is a 50-50 Senate.
Mhm,
The House keeps going, keeps doing a ping pong between who's in control. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? And we don't have a president or a succession of president, a political party that lasts excuse me,
Well
more than
well,
8 years. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
because the trick that you explained, like, the what the Republicans do is they make these drastic cuts,
Hmm.
and then if and when they lose, you blame the Democrat for the outcome, because that's when you will start seeing the outcome. And you know, who was saying someone was sitting here. I think Joy Reid also said this to Brian Donald, talking about like, um, I know, just blame the Democrats, right? You guys passed the policy, you guys did this, but just blame the Democrats, because that's what they are doing. Is we just gonna fuck the government up. We just gonna mess it all up, and then we just gonna turn around and just say, look, it's the Democrats because they in power.
Democrats. Yep, they're the ones in power. They know that the policy is not going to take effect until 4 years. It's like the Trump tax cuts.
Yeah,
The Trump tax cuts, it was not going to take. If Trump was president, but they were like, hope like, hey, if Trump ain't president, these tax cuts going to take effect, and then we can blame Biden. And this is why they started the inflation stuff, right? Even
hmm
though the Trump tariffs are still in place,
hmm
25% on certain goods. That's metals, that's
yep,
certain imports, right? And so the those imports, so we're paying the 25%. You know what I'm saying? We're paying the 25%. And again, because of the setup in the House and the Senate, you can't get rid of that 25%. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yep,
And so yeah, man.
yeah.
You
You
know,
had you had American steel companies filing bankruptcy at a record level in
yeah.
2016 and 17 and in early 18.
Yep. Harley
You had
Davidson had to close. They had to
Yeah,
close dealerships
yeah.
because of the tariffs. Yeah, man.
So then we got $30,000 motorcycle bikes afterwards.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? They were between 15 and they wasn't even hitting 20,000 at that point.
Mhm.
Like, people don't understand that
Nah, man.
all of this stuff, like when people say we're losing our country because of the Democrats. No, you're losing it because of the Republicans.
'Cause the Republicans.
They are
They
sucking wealth out
Yeah,
of the middle class.
right. They want the middle class to be the ones that are paying the majority of taxes. They 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 want the middle class to basically work until you die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So they're gonna raise Social Security. So yeah, again, you just work till you die. You know what I mean? And then you won't get that Social Security anyway. You know
because
what
it
I'm saying?
doesn't matter to them because they are the ones where the capital is coming to them.
Yeah. And most of them are the boomers, right? And
Yeah,
they are about to have the biggest transfer of wealth to them, and they want to hold on to that wealth. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And us Gen Xers and Xennials, you know what I'm saying? That's sitting in the middle, man. We're gonna get hit hard, um, but because the next group is
well, we
millennials.
got 10 more years before, like, the last boomer,
Oh yeah. We got, and I said, hey man, we got. That's still 10 more years. These bugs make decisions, Bo.
Yeah, I know, man, I know, but
Yeah,
that's but
Lord.
again, the language is training the next generation. That's why the older millennial
Hmm.
or actually, Gen Xers are literally taking the mantles up,
Hmm. Hmm.
and also the older millennials are doing the
Hmm.
same thing.
Yeah. Mm.
So people have to understand what's happening here, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the wealth is going to transfer, and it is a mad scramble
yeah.
right now.
Yep,
Again, trying to
it
keep you
is.
distracted so
Yep.
you don't understand what's really going on the other side. So they can. This is going to be the haves and have-nots.
Have and have nots. That's what they're gonna create. Yeah. Have and
Yeah,
have nots. And they're gonna do it because they're like, "Oh, they let us do it."
yeah.
Right? That's gonna be what they're gonna be like, "Well, I mean, y'all let us do it." You know
You
what I'm
voted
saying?
for it.
Because you weren't paying attention. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Yeah, you weren't paying
the
attention
American
because
people voted for this.
yeah. But that's what's gonna happen, is
Mhm,
American people are gonna vote for it because, you know what I mean, while they're distracted doing TikTok dances or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Then they're gonna be like, "Oh, man," it'd be like the 2 weeks before the election, you know what I
mhm,
mean? And then
mhm.
they'll get some sort of message, you know what I mean? Um, get some sort of message that, and they'll be like, "Well, you know what? Maybe I should vote for this thing." And then
Yeah,
not get digging into the details, and it's going to be too late, you know what I'm saying? And then you're
mhm,
you voting based on your emotions and not really information. And so
yeah,
you just want to give away your freedom, and that's how fascism works, right?
mhm,
Fascism depends upon an individual and a group to give away their freedoms. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Um, and when I think of like a Byron Donalds, what Byron Donalds is doing and others like him, what they're doing is they know that nationalistically, black people are not going to, or don't see them. A good majority of us don't see us as a nation, like white folks see themselves. When we think of
mhm.
America, we think of white people. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
However, what Byron Donalds and the like do is, well, I'm going to make black people cling to some mythos, some myth, you know what I'm
Mhm,
saying, about black people. You know what I mean? Some time, you know what I mean? Hey
mhm.
man, remember when Jim Crow? Jim Crow was good for us, man.
Yeah,
It was good. And so you cling to this time of Jim Crow being quote unquote good, you know what I'm saying? And then with that, you can then relate, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you get black folk who will be voting or supporting
like
fascism.
yeah, like those ones, mhm, mhm,
Yeah, oh yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
man. Yeah,
Mhm.
like Diamond and Silk.
Praise
Uh-huh.
the Lord.
Yeah,
Mhm.
uh-huh. No, but that's how they get them. That's how they get black folk. They get based
Yeah,
on religion. You know what I'm saying? They get you based on religion. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Meanwhile, you got pastors who are going to, you know, sitting in their pulpit talking about the justice system did Trump wrong.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so then therefore the justice system gonna do you wrong. They're coming after you next.
Mhm,
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same messaging.
mhm.
It's the same
And
messaging
and
folks were getting in
and the
Nazi
pa
Germany.
and the pastor is picking the congregation's pocket and
Mhm.
then Brian Donalds is coming and picking the constituents' pockets because
Right.
he's trying to stay in to make sure he gets a pension and
Mhm.
don't have to actually do any work. And then he takes that money and then invest it, and then he becomes a millionaire. Like,
Yeah.
look, this is works, bro.
No, I mean it is. You are seeing black folk who un, who are understanding or who are in these positions of power who are like, all right, they're going to take away from black people, right?
Mhm.
But I need to make sure that I don't get take nothing taken away from me. I
Yeah.
might not have much, but I'm gonna have more than them.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is where like the Charlemagne the Gods, the Ice Cubes, the 50 cents, the J like this is the messaging. They're not really fighting for black people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're fighting for themselves and their own survival.
'Cause they
I
don't
mean,
have to earn the dollar.
right,
They don't have to earn it.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
now you just go out and just literally I the only word that you can use is con the people out
Hmm.
of the money.
Yeah. Hmm.
So now you don't have to use labor, you don't have to use anything. I just go out there and go say something, and then either you go spend the money for the product that I did not make, I am only
Hmm.
just selling it to you, or you sit back and just give me donations.
Yeah. Or you go buy my book, you go buy
Or
my album, you come to my concert, you buy my shoe, you buy my you know what I'm saying? Like you buy this, you buy that. Don't worry about what you're gonna go through.
no,
Don't worry about what got taken from you. As long
no,
as you purchase what I'm selling you.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
That's it, man.
And and that's why they sold people on the whole YOLO and all that old dumb stuff.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
because they don't want you to pay attention to how this all works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The whole game is based off of how much money can you make off of somebody else's labor. We have said this
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
And this is what Brian Donalds does. This is what just about most of them do. Because
Mhm.
if you think that it's good to have Margie Taylor Greene in any political space who has not presented any bill, who hasn't signed or adopted any bills, so
Yeah.
she's just there collecting the check.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah,
Bober,
and
Bober, same thing.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Marco Rubio, same
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
These people are up there collecting money for doing absolutely nothing. They just go and just, oh, I'm just going to say some stuff, and they
Yeah.
consider that labor.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You know, I have this book like called How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them, right? And part of it in this chapter talks about it says here the patriarchal family is one ideal that fascist politicians intend to create in society or return to as they claim. The patriarchal family is always represented as a central part of the nation's traditions, diminished even recently by the advent of liberalism and cosmopolitanism. In fascist society, the leader of the nation is an analogous to the father in the traditional patriarchal family. The leader is the father of his nation, and his strength and power are the source of his legal authority, just as the strength and power of the father of the family in patriarchy is supposed to be the source of his ultimate moral authority over his children and wife. What was Byron Donald talking about? The husband, the
Mhm,
father,
mhm,
being in charge of the family. What is always the conversations about, right? The role of the man in the household, you know what I mean? The
yeah,
patriarchal family, right? The man was we were talking about that kicker, you know what I mean?
mhm,
That made his
mhm,
comments about women. That's
mhm,
what it's about, right? You know what I mean? Returning to some sort of mystical past, you know what I'm saying? And to do that, you have to you know, put men at the top, you know, women at the bottom. under
Mhm.
men. You know what I'm saying? And then you create this idea, and that's what Byron Donalds was talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Father this, family that, father. You know what I'm saying? Again,
Mhm.
it's to attract black people to make authoritarianism, sound good, even though
Mhm.
it's not. And authoritarianism is not good for no quote unquote minority group who doesn't have power. There's
Yeah,
no way in the country
look at
or history
Hungary.
that exists. Yeah, hungry. Yeah.
Oh, go look at Hungary, man. Look at their
Mm,
economy.
mhm.
Their economy is freaking crashing
Yeah.
because authoritarianism, like it doesn't work.
Mhm. Mm-mm.
It doesn't help economically.
Yeah. Nah,
Conservatism does not work.
don't
It
work.
doesn't work.
Mm. Yeah, man. Yeah. And like,
Rome became a conservative
oh,
country.
Rome was conservative. Rome was always conservative. So that's where Western, ideology comes from Rome. Patriarchal society comes from Rome. Us versus them comes from Rome. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff, you know what I mean,
But
comes from Rome.
but early forms of Rome were welcoming to other groups. They were more progressive in a lot of areas. But
Hmm.
mid Rome and late Rome became extremely conservative,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
obviously started going after um, LGBT groups, um,
Hmm.
minorities, so forth. And then you've seen the crash of Rome.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's because they were going after, they were expanding their empire, and people who necessarily didn't see themselves as Roman, you know what I'm
Mhm,
saying, started attacking them. You know what I'm saying? They started attacking Rome. You know what I'm saying? And that's how Western society see it. They're like, oh, the fall of Rome was because Rome let these other groups
mhm,
come in. They
mhm,
necessarily did not become Roman citizens, because you couldn't become a Roman citizen,
mhm,
because being a Roman citizen, because being a Roman citizen mean you had certain rights and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And so like a lot of Western society, they see the fall of Rome as, oh, they let other people in. You know what I
mhm,
mean? This is where you get old boy who write the Camp of the Saints about the Indian people coming into France and destroying France and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, uh yeah, it is, yeah, man, it is. I mean, they do, Western society and American society, when the founders of this country, um, created this country, they modeled it after Rome. They
yeah,
did. They
yeah,
modeled after Rome, and that's why only rich, wealthy white men could vote. It's the same way in
mhm,
Rome.
mhm,
Only wealthy people who had power could vote or participate in the republic.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same way.
mm,
You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. But again, Byron Donalds, his part in all of this, Byron Donalds and others, is to again say, hey, look, we have y'all black people's part in America. While there's some rough patches, but we made it. We were a success.
mhm,
We persevered. I mean, families. I mean, we're
mhm,
just like them. You know what I mean?
mm.
You
Yeah,
know, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's his part, and you know,
yeah.
and people, the difference is our ethnic group. Because we are ethnic group, not a racial category. We can check people who
Mhm,
distort the culture, and distort the heritage. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah. Look, man, my I, his words wouldn't have never been acceptable. Um, but I would have sat back if he was married to a black woman. I would have sat back and was like, hmm, okay, nah. But
man.
like because like his core base and like he just imitating another group.
Mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm,
yeah, I can't listen to you, bro,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because like you again. this whole thing about just being in blackface, bro, it bothers me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
a
very.
person in blackface is the worst thing to me. It's just like, bro, you don't like in this day and time, you don't have to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, you don't have to do it. Yeah, you don't have to do it. And to me, some of the most worst people are like you said, the people who sitting in the background. Yeah. Listening to this man.
Yeah,
What are you about?
yeah, yeah,
He was
yeah.
wrong. He was
He was just wrong.
absolutely wrong. Like he was not right. But again, these folks that buy into the myth, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Because again, they're not going to spend time to read anything outside of whatever white supremacist propaganda they were taught in school. So,
Mhm.
they're not going to sit here and read Southern horrors and other writings, you know what I mean? That tells you about Jim Crow from
Right.
1892 to 1900. That's Jim Crow. Like, you're not going to read that stuff, you know what I mean? You're not going to read books like The Color of Fascism, where this dude,
Mhm.
white
Mhm.
passing, brings in fascism to America. You're not going to read stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know, they're just going to read Booker T. Washington, about Malcolm X, maybe W.B. Du Bois, and then that'd be it.
See, Brian, Brian, Brian Donalds will probably read that, but the people
Hmm.
that he is speaking to,
Hmm.
they ain't reading that, bro.
Ain't reading that stuff. Nope. Don't read this stuff.
And they
Nope.
they don't even read the article.
Yeah, they don't read the
Like
articles.
this
They
is the
don't read
group
nothing.
that they are talking to.
Yeah.
They are simply talking to black people that do not follow any kind of political history.
Yeah. No. No. Only history that gets told to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And and that's
Nothing they're
what this
finding.
whole thing is based off of. They are trying to attract those people to the Republican Party. And
Hmm.
it's just and again, because you're only trying to bolster the other ignorant white folk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're just gonna have ignorant black folk, ignorant Spanish people, ignorant like you're just gonna have a bunch of ignorant people in one
Hmm.
group that don't know how the government works. They don't
Hmm.
know about any information. W- Talking to a gentleman today, and he told me that Donald Trump had no wars, right? And literally, like me telling him, well, you have direct war and you have indirect war.
Hmm.
If you drop bombs on a goddamn country, that's indirect war.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that you're actually in war, bro. But he did participate in war.
Yeah.
And so like, and he just like, no, he didn't. And it's just like, man, you cannot have a conversation with these people because reality ain't there. It just
Yeah, they
ain't
don't.
there, man.
Yeah, they don't live reality, man. They don't live reality. Um,
He
you know,
Donald Trump dropped more bombs than any other president.
right.
So if he
Hmm.
wasn't at war, who the hell was he dropping bombs on?
They just call it conflict.
Yeah, just a conflict.
Hmm.
Because guess what? He exercised the war power of the president.
Yeah, that Congress gave
Well,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And that in all actuality, he overstepped.
Hmm.
He overstepped his power. But there was nobody there to challenge.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
when he did it, the Republicans controlled
Hmm.
the House. So at the end of the day, nobody could do nothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, ah,
Yeah, it's all crazy. But as long as they have people like Byron Donalds, man, you know. But again, you know, as long as
yeah,
I mean, they're gonna try to roll out people like Byron Donalds, and they going Byron Donalds gonna get checked. And
yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah, it ain't a safe space, man.
Well, that interview
Right.
with Joy Reid looked real bad on him. So,
Yeah, it looked bad. Yeah, yeah. Donald, yeah, who's ever running Donald Trump's campaign, they're gonna see that and they're gonna be like, well, no, he ain't gonna bring no black votes. So
nope, because
nope.
he's been on the airways since that happened, and he's trying
Hmm.
to, on
He
Fox
trying to
News and
backtrack. Yeah,
trying to
yeah. He trying to
backtrack.
backtrack.
and just like, oh
Yeah,
no, the liberals are just making this up.
yeah,
They're just making it up.
and
It's
everybody's
Joe
playing
Biden.
they're playing back his own what he said, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, that's not what I said." "No, that's what you said." You
Here's
said
the
black
thing.
people were conservative, voting conservative. Black peo we weren't voting. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
even so, even the when black people voted and they moved up north, they started voting for Democrats in about the 1920s or something like that, you know what I'm saying? The
That's when they
shift
first.
already
Yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the shift had
Right,
already started, way prior to 1965, you
right,
know what I'm saying,
right.
68. It had already started,
Yeah,
because again, the Republican Party is like, "Man, we're not gonna do nothing. We're not gonna try to do anything," or we're not gonna try to, get black people to vote, in the South. We're not gonna do
yeah.
anything.
In the 1940s, they literally like on the floor, bro. Like if you go back to like some of their debates, were literally saying that they have to protect corporations.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was it. That was literally in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah. Mhm. And that's when
They
they
were
begin to,
outright saying that.
that's when they begin the modern, conservatism.
Hmm.
Modern conservatism begins around 1940s, William F. Buckley, and
Yep.
then it just snowballs from there, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it all just culminated in being against civil rights and against LGBTQ and against, what I'm saying, to where we are today.
Yeah. So what's
Where we are today. Yeah.
what Goldwater say about the evangelical conservative?
Mhm.
He sat back and said, the scariest group in America is the evangelical
Mhm.
conservative. That
Mhm.
was from Lee Atwater.
Yeah.
Bro, that was from Lee Atwater.
Mhm.
If people gotta go look him up to see what kind of person he was.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for
yeah.
him to say that, and for us to be in that same place that he told you that they are the scariest people.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But again, you know, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, man. But uh 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 Byron Donalds, man, and all those black folk, man. We had to check them. We had to check them.
Yeah.
And folk have to read to understand what it is that a lot of these black folks saying who are trying to uh have a retelling of Jim Crow and black people without the context of white supremacy, a white supremacist government, and a white supremacist society, and how it affected black people. And the black people had to insulate themselves. And the only way to do that, or let me see, black people were forced to live together, number one. And then in that being forced to live together, black people had to insulate themselves from the white supremacist society. You know what I mean? I told them that they couldn't walk on the sidewalk. They had to
Mhm.
they couldn't look a white man in the eye. They couldn't be hired here. They couldn't work here. Black
Mhm.
women, if they did work, they had to have their hair straightened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
Creating the great migration.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they created the Great Migration. I mean, because it was so racist in the South, there were black folk was like, "Oh, I'm out of here." The moment I get a chance, I'm out of here, man.
That's what Jim Crow did.
Nah, I'm out
You
of
know what
here.
I'm saying? Brian Donalds, that is what Jim Crow did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even when the Great Migration, black people went to California. It was
Mhm.
Jim Crow over there too.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
moved to Boston. They went to Chicago. Mississippi went to Chicago. South Carolina went to Delaware, and then went to Pennsylvania and Jersey. They experienced Jim Crow.
As Joe Madison said, rest in peace. Um, he would say that his name was Jim Crow Esquire. You
Yeah.
know, when you go out to California
Hmm.
and Chicago, that was Jim Crow Esquire.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the
Yeah. Yeah.
cousin.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was. It was. It wasn't the blatant racism, but it was Jim Crow. That's how
Yeah,
folk need to read how Richland, California
yeah,
became Richland and why Richland looks the way it looks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, which created the myth about, you know, what Malcolm X was really trying to say about the liberal.
Hmm.
Like it was the myth that was created that yes, liberals. You talking about like Dixiecrats
You,
and
you,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Mhm.
No, he's talking about those those politics of well-to-do folk, but then still have racist tendencies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those folks who were they supported black folk. They were like, "Hey, we support y'all, the civil rights, blah blah blah." But we either don't want it to happen, fast, or
Mhm,
we don't want you to have certain things. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
This where the Dixiecrats come in because the Dixiecrats are like, "Hey, look, man, look, we understand what y'all saying. You know what I mean? We want to support y'all, but look, man, you can't have. Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
If you take from me, if you take from the pie, ain't gonna be no more pie. Like this is where the pie theory comes in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And Martin Luther King also criticized liberals. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm,
hey, they weren't willing to sacrifice their position of whiteness, you know
yeah.
what I'm saying, for the greater good. And they're like, nah, I can't do that 'cause I gotta go to work with,
Mhm, mhm.
these other folks who gonna go against, they're gonna treat me like they treat you. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
which we seen Bernie Sanders do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people gotta understand like how this all goes down.
Yeah.
But to assume that John Kerry, I mean not
Mhm.
John Kerry, God darn man, what's the Republican guy? Um Mitt Romney. To
Mhm.
assume Mitt Romney is also not a liberal. He's
Mhm.
just a Republican, but he is more liberal.
Mhm.
Is where people make the mistake in understanding how this whole political thing works.
Yeah, it's because people don't understand what conservative is, what conservatism is, what liberalism is. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Conservatism is in the word. It's to conserve.
Yeah.
This is why I always say there's really no conservatives. The conservatives existed in the Democrats side. You know what I'm
Go try
saying?
to conserve some water or some food.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Conserve.
trying to, yeah, you're trying to keep things the way that they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're being liberal, you're okay with progress. You know what I'm saying? You want progress. You want things to progress. And then you get to the extremes of that,
Mhm.
uh, of both of those. But liberalism and conservatism are right in the middle. They're not, they're right in the middle. They're not, you know what I mean? And then it's the extremes to the right or left. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
But we have a people again. This is where Byron Donald comes in because Byron Donald was saying that black people voted conservatively because there were black people who were voting Republicans. The Republicans were not the conservative party. The
Mm.
Republicans were the liberal party.
Yes.
They had liberals.
Yes.
The Democrats had the conservatives and the neoconservatives, right? They had
Mhm.
the Dixiecrats who were
Mhm.
neoconservative. They had the Dixiecrats who were neoconservative, meaning that they would sometimes slide over to liberal on some things,
Mhm.
but then they would be conservative on other things. And you had the conservatives who were trying to conserve. They were Barry Goldwater,
Yeah.
Barry Goldwater, Richard Nixon, William F. Buckley, you know what I'm saying? And the likes, Ronald Reagan, you know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. Um, and so like a LBJ, he was a liberal, even though he was a racist, he was liberal.
Mhm.
He was liberal. So
Yeah.
people just don't understand the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
but it's not like
ideology.
Byron Donalds didn't either,
No,
because he was
no, he
he was
understood.
talking about LBJ, and I'm like,
Hmm.
man, he was a racist liberal. What are you talking like? Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but even
he still had conservative tendencies.
even like him talking about LBJ again, he was talking about again. Byron Donald brought up health,
Mhm,
education, and welfare because what
mhm.
does Project 2025 want to get rid of? Health,
Health,
education, and welfare,
yeah,
right? It wants to get rid of those departments. But again, Byron Donald talks like there aren't like okay, if welfare destroyed black families, well, the majority of people on welfare then and now are white people.
Right.
So why are we never talking about white families being destroyed when they have fatherless issues, they have broken home issues, they have these all these issues, but we never talk about it. Never talk about it, never bring it up, you know what I mean, or make the correlation.
Yeah,
That wasn't
he was asked that question.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It didn't fare well because he couldn't answer.
Of course, because it doesn't make sense. Because you can't say that again. Black people then and now we're not the majority of ones who are on welfare. Welfare was not created with us in mind.
Yeah.
It was not created for black people. It was not. Black people had to beg the Democrats to say, "Hey, fight for us so we can get welfare benefits too." This is where you get the welfare movement in the 1960s. You get the welfare movement and things of that nature. Um, you know, that the man in the household thing was more about uh, uh, money because if you had a man in the household, woman couldn't work, so that meant that the man was working.
Mhm.
So then you didn't need money.
Right.
That's why you couldn't have the man in the household. You know, but that was more directed towards white women than black.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, man. Any
All
last
right,
words, bro?
man. Nothing at all, man. Just don't be cooning around, man. Don't be raccooning around. You know, like look, we all are in this thing, or this journey or this ride. And we have to understand it is people that um are in a different tax bracket than us that
Mhm.
needs that need our eyes, our labor, our well, our wages, not our wealth, our wages, and they will tell us anything.
Mhm.
But we have to learn to distinguish who these people are.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I would say, man, like read history, man, context, social science. You don't have to read, when you're reading about black history, man, read social science stuff, man. So you don't have this mythology, this myth we keep passing on about black families and things of that nature, man. Your grandma couldn't leave because they would not allow women to have bank accounts until the 1960s. They would not allow women to have a home without a man's signature to the 1980s. They
Mhm,
would not allow a woman to have a business loan without a man's signature until 88.
mhm,
So
mhm.
you created a society where a woman needed to get married to a man. So now today, the reason why people have all these relationship podcasts is because, women and people in general have uh, total freedom. You know what I mean?
You
You
mean
don't
to
have
tell me
political freedom, but you
we
know,
actually created freedom
yeah,
by giving choice,
given choice, given
real
choice.
choice?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy, man. But people need to read, man, so you don't get duped, man. It's okay to disconnect every once in a while from social media, man, and read something, man, and read something. But
Mm.
yeah, man. On that note, man, we up out of here.
All right.
All right.